The parts I'll be making from scratch is the pasta, which is gonna be cavatelli pasta, or shells.
Is it a shell?
Well, it's a shell, but I feel like, would it be called shell? Because you know, like when people are like, oh, I want some naan bread, naan already means bread, so it'd be like bread. Am I saying shell? This is From Scratch with Tini. Today, I'm making mac and cheese from scratch. Yes, everything from scratch. I am making even the pasta noodles from scratch. What I love about mac and cheese, it's so versatile. It could be a main dish, side dish, appetizer. It's just my favorite thing to make. I will admit, I still eat boxed mac and cheese, so I'm not gonna knock it, because I still eat it. But if I want something good to eat, if I make the mac and cheese from scratch, I have full control over it. I love it, my boyfriend loves it, my family loves it. They say I have the best mac and cheese. Today, I'm gonna be making lobster mac and cheese. I love lobster, I love mac and cheese. Why not combine the two? Cheese, lobster, they go so well together. It's definitely more on the fancier occasion just because, you know, lobster is just a little bit more on the pricier side. If I'm feeding this to people, it's gonna be for 4 people max because that's as much as they get. The parts I'm gonna be making from scratch today is the pasta. I'm making cavatelli pasta, and then I'll be making my cheese sauce. And then I'm gonna be poaching some lobster and some garlic, butter, lemon juice. That's my, I'm so excited for that part. Hopefully we're gonna see that nice cheese pull when you pull up, you know, all that cheese, that's the best part. It's making my mouth water right now. It's like a mouthgasm. Can I say that? Okay, it's gonna be chef's kiss. First thing that I'm gonna be making today is my pasta dough. So I'm only using 3 ingredients. I have my semolina, my water, and my salt. I'm gonna take 2 cups of my semolina flour, and we're gonna be using semolina flour today because it is hard wheat. So that means it's perfect for pasta because of the gluten. I'm gonna take about a teaspoon of salt. Oh, this is a tablespoon, not a teaspoon. Oops. I knew that. And I'm gonna mix it up. I promise I knew that. I'm gonna form a well. I like making pasta from scratch. I think it tastes better. As you see, I'm only using 3 ingredients. I'm not using egg, and it's because we just simply don't need it today. It's gonna be easy. So I'm gonna slowly pour in some water, and I'm just going to, you know, whisk it in, kind of like how I would with an egg. I would just be like whisking it in, mixing it up. And we want the water to be warm because it just helps with the hydration, just makes it go smoother. I like that word, smooth. I'm just slowly combining it just as it goes. Start squeezing it together. So I'm just gonna slowly add our water and then just keep kneading. First time I made pasta from scratch was in culinary school, and I felt so cool because the kids from the high school, they were touring our culinary school that day, and they were like watching me make the dough, and I literally felt like I was the because I'm like, yes, like they're watching me make this pasta from scratch, and like they all had their phones out because it was kind of like a window where they could see inside of the classroom, and they're like, oh my gosh, he's making the pasta from scratch. If you feel like you need water, don't add it yet, just keep kneading because you don't want to just have runny pasta. I'm getting winded. I'm gonna grab a stool because it's using too much of my energy. Little drop, one more drop. Oh, that was more than a drop. Just trying to push the water away. If you add too much water, you could just add more flour just as you go, because you don't want it too sticky. I love me some carbs. That's why I'm always making it from scratch. I just love it. I know it's ready because it is nice and fluffy, has the air to it, and I can do all this and it bounces right back at me. Isn't she so pretty? We have to let it rest for about 30 minutes so the gluten can just rest and let it do its thing. The dough has now rested, so now it's time to form our cavatelli. I have a sheet pan right here with some parchment. Just sprinkle it with some little semolina just so the pasta doesn't stick to the pan and to each other. And there we go. As you can see, it just, perfect. All right, so I'm gonna cut it into 4. And you can see I don't have any flour or any semolina down because I want that grip of the surface. I don't want the flour to coat it because we're gonna be using the surface to kind of grip and make our shapes. I'm gonna roll it into a little rope, and then I'm gonna start cutting it. So I'm rolling it to about 1/4 inch. I cut it in half just because it was getting a little awkward and I couldn't really roll it like that. Cavatelli loosely translate into little hollows, and that's perfect because we want the hollows so the cheese can just get all up in there. We have little cheesy babies. I'm going for about 1 centimeter. You don't have to do centimeter. You could do yours bigger, smaller, but that's just what I choose to do today. So now that I have these all nice and cut up, they kind of look like little pillows. I'm gonna start making the Cavatelli shape. So I'm gonna take my thumb. This is the only special tools you need, is your thumb. You're gonna press and then just let the dough just go off of your thumb. These are little hollows, and all that cheese sauce is gonna get in there. It's gonna be that good stuff. This is also a new pasta shape for me, but I just love cooking and learning, so we're learning together. This is my first time doing it. I'm gonna let them just sit out. They can do whatever they wanna do. And I'm gonna poach my lobster tail, which I'm so excited for because it's gonna smell so good in here. We are poaching the lobster now. So what I'm gonna be using to poach it with is butter, some lemon juice, some garlic. Our herbs today is gonna be thyme. We got our chili flakes, and we have our salt. Once this gets into that pot, it's gonna smell so good. I'm gonna add a little bit of water in here just to get just a little bit. Oh, that's hot. Silly me. Always grab your handle with a rag. All right. Just get enough to just cover the bottom of the pan. I'm gonna get this simmering, and the poaching liquid is just a butter emulsion. I give up. Well, I was trying to give like a little demo to some kids about emulsification, and it was like the 6th graders, and I was just struggling to just get the word out, and they were just laughing. I was like, I'm so sorry. It's getting there. So I'm gonna just slowly add my butter. I'm adding 2 tablespoons of butter. Just slowly going to add it in. And you're gonna have to whisk a lot. So I have the hot water and the cold butter, and that's what's gonna make it emulsify. That's why you have to continue whisking it so it doesn't break. Aw, damn, I forgot to chop my garlic. Oops. Maybe I could just smash it real quick. I'll take it off the heat. I forgot to chop my garlic, so I'm gonna do that real quick. Don't do what I did. My body moves too fast than my brain. I'm doing a quick, just rough chop. Yeah, you wanna already have your garlic chopped so you're not chopping it while you have to emulsify. I did a quick little chop, and I'm gonna get back to my butter. So I have all that, give it a whisk. Now I'm going to add my garlic, I'm gonna add my thyme, and my lemon juice. 3 tablespoons of lemon juice. Okay, I just can't pour. It's okay. It's getting in the pot, doesn't matter. All right, so when you are emulsifying, you have to keep whisking just so whatever you're making does not break. I'm gonna add some red pepper flakes, and then I'm gonna start to slowly add my butter again. You wanna make sure your butter is still cold, so if you're using like 2 sticks of butter, put 1 stick in the fridge while you're still doing the other stick. I'm gonna add a pinch of salt. There we go. It smells delicious though, and it just has the garlic and butter. All right, I'm gonna keep adding my butter one by one. I'm gonna keep mixing it until it's all incorporated. I want it around 160, that's like the best. All right, so I have everything incorporated, so now I'm gonna go grab my lobster tails. I'm gonna start poaching. So I got about 4 lobster tails. You can use fresh, you can use frozen, you can use whole lobster. You can also use this liquid for any other fish as well, a good cod. So I'm gonna add my lobster tails. Depending how big the lobster tail, that's how long you cook it for. Sexy. I'm gonna let that sit about a minute, and then I'm gonna flip it. Poaching, it's a gentle cooking method. It makes the meat nice and tender. You don't want the butter to boil. That's not good because then it'll just make the protein tough and not tender. We want tender. I have mine between low and medium, a nice little simmer on the sides. That's it. And you're just gonna slowly kind of rotate it as it goes. I'm just flipping it just to make sure the other side's cooked as well. Probably gonna let this go for about 5 to 6 minutes. These have, I'm gonna say like 1.5 minutes left. I'm gonna flip them back over. I could just eat that just how it is right now. I'm gonna let this cool for a little bit so I can slice it up and put it in my mac and cheese. This is where the magic happens. We're gonna make the cheese sauce, we're gonna boil our pasta, and then we're gonna assemble our mac and cheese. Yay! Since these are fresh, they are gonna cook a little bit quicker than when you would buy it store-bought. I have my pasta water boiling. I'm gonna salt the pasta water. That's the most important part. You wanna salt it like the ocean. You want a lot, okay? A lot. Just gonna put that in there. I have my pasta boiling. I'm gonna keep an eye on it, and I'm gonna work on my cheese sauce. The cheeses I'm gonna be using today, I have mozzarella, Colby Jack, and I have cheddar cheese. I chose these cheeses because I think they just really balance each other well. The mozzarella, you get like that beautiful pull with it. That's where you really get your cheese pull. The cheddar cheese, it has that nice sharp, and then I feel like the Colby Jack makes it nice and balanced. These are like my 3 go-to cheeses when I make my mac and cheese. I have already shredded my cheese. You want to shred your own cheese because the cheese that you get at the store that's pre-shredded, it has a film on it and it's not gonna melt down and like be ooey gooey. Like you're not really gonna get a cheese pull from it, so that's why you wanna shred your own cheese. I'm turning the stove on between low and medium. I'm gonna make a roux. What a roux is, it's fat and flour, so my fat today will be some butter. Gonna give my pasta a little stir. I'm not gonna just say I have the best mac and cheese. I have the best mac and cheese that I've ever had. I think it's the perfect amount of just cheesy and creamy because sometimes you could do more like a creamy based mac and cheese and it doesn't have that much more of like a cheese pull, and my cheese sauce gives you that nice cheese pull. That's the most important part. So I'm gonna make my roux, add the flour, about 2 spoonfuls, and I'm gonna cook down all that flour. I don't want any clumps of flour because you don't wanna just eat straight flour. So just gonna mix that all in. Let this go for a few minutes. You wanna keep stirring your roux because you don't want it to burn, and you also just wanna make sure you get all those flour clumps out. All right, so I am about to add my milk, and this is what's called a bechamel. You wanna transfer over to a whisk instead because you really like, if there's any excess like flour, you wanna make sure you do not get that. So I'm gonna add some, oh, terrible sound. And just mix it. And you can immediately see it started to thicken up. So add a little bit more. And that's what a roux does, it's a thickener. I'm gonna just keep adding milk. Mac and cheese is one of those recipes I don't measure, more measuring with the heart and my eyes. This is what a bechamel looks like. My secret ingredient is I use evaporated milk. I just think it makes it a perfect amount of creamy. Just slowly stir it in. And then once I add my cheese, it's gonna be called a Mornay. I'm gonna add some salt and pepper. I like to use some smoked paprika, just give it that little smoky, just a little bit. And then I always have to have garlic powder. So some garlic powder. And then another secret ingredient that I use is Dijon mustard. All right, and I'm gonna give this a nice mix. I'm gonna add some whole milk. I'm just gonna use it to thin it out a little bit more. Milk can be used as a thinner. I think. All right, pasta's done. I'm gonna add just a little bit of oil to my pasta just so it doesn't stick when I put it into the cheese sauce. All right, so I'm gonna add my cheese. I'm gonna add about half the cheese, and then the other cheese I'm gonna use to layer on top when I put it in the oven. Just do a little at a time so you can make sure it's all nice and incorporated. The worst type of cheese sauce for me is it's too liquidy and it's literally just milk. Let's add a little bit more cheese and then I'm gonna see how high I can get the cheese pull. All right. All right, so now I'm gonna add my pasta to the cheese sauce. Fold these all in, make sure all the cheese is incorporated. You hear that? This is what makes me happy, just seeing all those like strings of cheese. Yeah, that makes me happy. I'm like part Dutch too, so that's where the cheese love comes from. Now I'm gonna add my chopped lobster tails, fold them all in, and these lobster tails are already flavorful, so it's just gonna get more flavor. There's cheese in them. I'm gonna fold it all in. It smells delicious. And I feel like lobster mac and cheese is kind of like an easier version of lobster thermidor. Clear my area. So one layer and then cheese, and then add another layer and then cheese right on top. This is like my most like prized dish. This is one thing like I'm so confident on this. All right, so now I'm gonna add some cheese in there. I'm more of like a cheese and mac type of girl than mac and cheese. Make sure you get the corners because the corner is like the best part. The best part of a cake is also the corner. I always get a corner piece. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Now I'm gonna add the rest of the cheese on top. Make sure it gets all up in there. All right, so she is already in assembled. She's gonna go in the oven for 375 for about 20 minutes. Once the cheese is melted, I'm gonna hit it with the broiler for about 2 minutes just for a nice golden brown crust. All right, look at that. Do y'all see that nice golden brown, the edges? This is what I'm talking about. Like the corner is the best part because look at that right there. This crunch is, just hear that, it's sexy. Ready to just dig in. Here we go. Oh, yep, this is exactly what you want. It smells so good. I can smell the lobster, I can smell the garlic, I can smell the cheese. Okay. That's what I needed today. I made everything. I made the pasta from scratch. I made the cheese sauce. I poached my own lobster and it's a butter bath. And you can really taste every single one of those elements inside of this. I know it is some extra steps, but I'm telling you right now, it's 100% worth it. 10 out of 10. I'm not just saying that because I made it, I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. This is everything I wanted. It's a nice hug on the soul. So I'm gonna go eat this and fall into a food coma. Bye. If you like sexy food, smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, leave a comment below, only positive comments. Love y'all.